Ohio police gunned down a 15-year-old child. Put up the picture for a mass. Hell of a story. Ohio police have released few details since 15-year-old Jazmir Tucker was gunned down by an officer armed with a rifle outside Miller South School for the Visual and Performing Arts. Authorities say that just after 11 p.m. on November 28th, two officers parked in their patrol unit at East Avenue and Vernon Odom Boulevard heard the gunshots ring out. Those officers exited their squad car and started searching the area and encountered the young Tucker, who was, quote, walking from the area where the gunshots were heard, end quote, according to the Fraternal Order of Police. The officer started running after him, and one fired his long gun, striking Tucker. The police released body cam footage of the shooting, but portions of the video are hard to make out since the camera is obstructed by a view of one of the officer's rifle. Viewers are unable to see what Tucker was doing before he was shot. The first 30 seconds of the video, which show the moment the cop pulled the trigger, also lack audio. So it's difficult to determine the number of shots fired at the 15-year-old child. Sound is absent from the beginning of the video because of a feature that excludes audio when officers first activate their cameras. The footage does show multiple officers at the scene, some with their guns raised, and when audio finally filters through, viewers can hear the moments when they start shouting, quote, put your hands out to your side, after Tucker was already shot. Several minutes passed before the officers approached a wounded Tucker, who is laying face down on the ground, and administered medical aid. Footage shows one cop handcuffed the teen, then unzipped his pocket where he finds a handgun. Tucker was later pronounced dead at a local hospital. So during a press conference, the local police chief, his name is Brian Harding, did not provide straightforward answers the community was hoping for, but instead stated that he does not have, quote, all the facts just yet. Harding said that he doesn't yet know why the officer fired at Tucker, how many times Tucker was shot, and whether the officers gave the teen any commands before shots were fired. It's also unclear why it took so long for officers at the scene to render medical aid after the shooting. Keep the chief up. So the chief comes out and voluntarily does a press conference. In the press conference, he admits he knows nothing of what his cops did. Nothing. He doesn't know why they decided to shoot at him. That's a question, chief. That's a simple ass question to the cops who work for you. And if they're not able to provide you with an answer to that question, because you do have a standing protocol, you have a standing CO, commanding order. If they can't tell you that they fired those shots under the protocol of your commanding directive for that department, why are you doing the press conference? And the reality is, if they were within your protocol, sir, you would have said it. If they actually followed your command, you would have told the world. But they did not, did they? Quote, even after viewing the videos, there are many things we do not know. I know there are many in our community who will have questions and concerns related to the timelines or the timeliness of the body-worn camera activation, the delay in rendering aid, and the shooting itself. I hear those concerns, and my hope is that the investigation will provide more clarity, Harding said. Now, chiefs and other executives in law enforcement, they do this often. They point to the video as if they have just as much information as you do in the public. They act as if we're looking at the same information and trying to figure this out. Well, the truth is they are the authority who has all of the information, and all of the individuals who are in question work for that authority. They also have the authority to investigate and to provide information as they choose. But once again, they want you to think that all they have is a video, and based on that video, they can't make any conclusions because they just have what you have. There's more. Authorities also have not released the name. They decided to withhold the name of the officer who shot the young Tucker, but said he has been with the police department for nearly 5 years. He and his partner have been placed on administrative leave. As for the reason the officer had a rifle drawn, Harding stated that the department's cops will respond with rifles rather than handguns when they know a suspect is armed. 2 shell casings were recovered from the scene that officials say are currently being analyzed. The Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation is leading the probe into the shooting. The police have launched a separate internal investigation. Let's go to the mayor of the city. Mayor Shamas Malik said in a statement, quote, in hindsight, the amount of time that expired between the shooting and the initiation of physical aid to Jazmir is deeply troubling to me. Due to the angle of the body cameras and the bright light shining on Jazmir after he was initially shot, it's hard to make out from the videos what exactly happened leading up to the shooting and immediately following it. A gun was recovered from Jazmir's zipped up jacket pocket. Given that, why did the officer decide to use his weapon? Keep the mayor up. See, the mayor just provided a point that has to be analyzed probably within judicial context. He said the young man's weapon was inside of a zipped, isolated area on his body. So if that's the case, that means that the 15-year-old posed absolutely no, what it is called, imminent threat to the officer who fired the fatal shots. Now, family members of Tucker, who was a freshman at North High School, shared their devastation at the teen's death. Quote, Jazz was my sweetheart. He was with us at my house always. From the time he was a baby, and there was nothing he wouldn't do for anybody, and I miss him. Tucker's great aunt, Connie Sutton, pictured, said, I couldn't help my baby, and it hurt to see that nobody helped my baby. Tucker's mom, Ashley Green, said. The mayor points out significant problems. Obviously, the rendering of aid, the lack thereof in a timely fashion was one of them. The fact that seemingly there was no immediate threat for the officer or officers involved. So both of them are actually suspended on administrative leave. And then the police chief provides a press conference, but does not provide details to the press conference as if somehow he can't find this information out for the community. Sharon, I know this is a troubling story. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are, you've never been more needed. You've never been more needed, Doc. And I'm not just trying to wind you up. The point you made about a gun in a zip pocket is so crucial. Why someone had to use a long gun and shoot a 15-year-old dead, that's the key question here. And I don't know about probable cause either. Shots fired, and the AP reported days ago that they encountered Tucker and began chasing him. Maybe the deceased teenager fired those shots that they claim to have heard. Maybe he didn't. None of it matters. He should be alive. From what you just referenced and drilled down on, the key points, the police chief should not bother to open his mouth and hold any kind of press conference until he knows some basic information.
That's right. And he knows obviously more than what he said at the press conference as part of the spin. The mayor at least pointed out some of the issues that the community is asking questions about. while the chief is ignoring it. We will definitely bring updates as they come. We're going to stay on top of it.